No, you're good. All right, so we're going to get started here now that I've got my ducks in a row. And we're just going to kick off with our beans. So I've got 2 cans of beans. I will tell you, one of these is 15 ounces, one of these is 15.5 ounces. If you buy a can of beans and it is not exactly the recipe's recommended 15.5 ounces, don't worry. This recipe is pretty flexible. In fact, very flexible. You will just change your seasoning a little bit, how much of the pesto you use or how much of the other vegetables you use. And you cannot see this, but I am not just dumping this into my sink. I actually have the strainer over a bowl in here that I am going to use just to drain the extra liquid off of my beans. And then I'm going to give them a quick rinse just so that they get a little bit of that extra whatever off of them. And then I'm going to let them drain at their own pace here. And now I'm going to think about my vegetables. So since it's the end of the week, I'm using primarily pantry staples. We're getting low on the groceries, which means my veggie of choice will be an onion and a leftover jar of artichokes. And I'm just going to chop my onion now. So I don't know how well you can see my chopping here. Just type in the chat if I need to angle down a little bit, because sometimes it doesn't show me the full picture here or exactly what you're able to see. But essentially, I've cut my onion in half, and now I'm going to go about peeling it down. Thank you, Kevin. Rock star. Hopefully, uh, there. Pretty sure you guys can see onion now. So now I've got a little bit easier of time peeling this onion and the extra skins off of it. I'm a huge fan of like the trash bowl for the extra bits and bobs that you might be pulling off of your food here, just because I keep my compost bucket outside to manage the fruit flies inside the house. And then we have this elaborate system of having to dump it every day because we also have, in addition to a fruit fly problem, we've got a bit of a bear problem. So now I've got my onion and I'm just going to chop it pole to pole in long, thin strips. I'm sort of using my hand to hold it still, but chop your onion however it makes it happy, however it makes it happy, however you like, however makes you happy, however works for you. This is my method. And I'm only going to do half of the onion just because my family is a little bit fussy. So now I'm going to sort of crumble the onion into the bowl, breaking up the pieces. So I have smaller bits of onion. And then because we have lemon in this recipe, I'm going to just hit it with the lemon to try and manage some of that extra, sort of spicy intensity that onion can provide when it's raw. So this is almost a quick pickle, but not really. It's a cheat of some variety. Let's put it that way. But similar to popping onion in cold water or these other sort of sandwich salad hacks that you may have seen with raw onion to make it a little less intense, hitting it with the lemon juice acts very similar. So leftover half of a lemon from somebody making a drink. And I'm just going to sort of squeeze that in. Now, if you don't have fresh lemons at your house, there's nothing illegal about using jarred lemon juice, or maybe you want to try it with a little balsamic vinegar. Choose your own adventure here. Use what you have. I would say if you're going to do vinegar, instead of going with the recipe's recommended 2 tablespoons, I would definitely recommend starting with 1 or even half-ish of a tablespoon and seeing how that goes. So into the trash bowl with that. Pick out my couple of lemon seeds that I got in here. Probably I should have squeezed that into this glass first and then dumped it in, but live and learn. And now we're just going to let the lemon juice and onions chill together for a moment while I take care of the beans and chop up my artichokes and get these other bits here. So I've got these artichokes in juice. Somebody left me literally 1.5 artichokes. No problem. they'll mix in with everything else just fine. And I'm cleaning out the fridge, which will make grocery shopping a little bit easier. So we're gonna give these guys just a little choppity chop here. So you can see kind of a rough chop, aiming for about the size of the bean, just because that will make it easy to eat. You don't want just tiny fragments of artichoke. You might want some delicious variety as you're munching these things. And then I'm going to toss in my sun-dried tomatoes. About 2 forkfuls for me is going to be 2 tablespoons. As always, friends, I am sort of measuring with my heart rather than any other tools, just because if I have a few too many sun-dried tomatoes, nobody's going to be mad about that. Now, these sun-dried tomatoes were already chopped up. They were the julienned ones. You can get them in whole tomato form, and then you might want to chop them up, or sometimes they're halves of the sun-dried tomatoes. In those cases, you might want to chop them up, but you can see here, they're about the same size as the onions. So I think this will be really delightful to just leave them whole. And a little less work for me, never a bad thing. So now my beans are drained. You can see they aren't even dripping anymore, which is good. I don't need too much bean juice in here. I don't want this to be feeling like a soup. Toss those in with a bit of pesto. So again, measuring with my heart, I've got a spoon here. I'm going to sort of go for 2 heaping kind of spoons that you might use for like dinner spoons. And I am going to give that a bit of a mix, just so that it can start seasoning up those beans. If you can let this sit, it will help your beans taste really, really succulent and delicious. It will season the beans a little bit more, because right now the beans are just beany, and I would like them even better if they were pesto-y and succulent. So, last ingredient that I'm going to use today, although this recipe is very choose your own adventure, is I'm going to use some of that boiled chicken that I did in my weekend meal prep. Just pull off the skin. For those of you who joined at 12 when the meeting started, I was saying earlier that my meal prep has been very minimal lately. And all I've been doing is cooking up beans or potatoes and chicken. And I might boil them or I might bake them depending on the temperature outside and what I'm planning on doing it. So just pulling it off the bone. We'll give it a little rough chop here. I tend to go for thighs just because they stay so much more moist. But you can absolutely do this with whatever protein you would like. If you want to open a can of tuna, you could do that. Really do all pantry staples. You could also do edamame in here. It would be incredibly delicious. Or peas would be so yummy in here because they're just a little bit sweet. So definitely whatever tastes or flavor combinations really speak to you, I highly recommend following your intuition and just making it delightful for yourself. And partially that's just because if you love your healthy food, you're more likely to eat more of it, to enjoy it, to prioritize it. All right. So here's what she looks like at this point. We'll give her another stir. And then we're going to taste and see if we need to course correct it all. I'll use my sun-dried tomato fork here for a bite. Oh, you can't see my face. Sorry, folks. All right, that is good, but I am going to add another spoon of pesto. And as this sits, you may notice that some of the flavors really get absorbed into the beans. And so if I let this sit until dinner, which is my plan for tonight, I'm gonna just let this chill out until dinner and have it for my family. You may notice if you taste it right before dinner, those beans soaked up some of the salts and other flavors. And I actually think I'm going to add a bit more lemon too. So I have a backup lemon here. If you taste your food and you aren't quite in love with it yet, a lot of times adding a little bit more acidity and a little bit more salt is going to blow you away. Just a little bit, just a little bit of each. Okay, I'm going to learn from my mistake from last time, squeeze into here because at this point it's going to be real hard to pick out seeds. Oh, and go figure, this lemon has no seeds. In case anybody else has not experienced it, Murphy's Law really loves the kitchen. All right. And we're just dumping in a bit there, using my paper towel to tidy up my hands efficiently. Oh, yeah, Deborah, absolutely. You add in lemon zest. I should have done that, zested my lemon before I cut it. Well, see, I'm so glad we're learning from each other. All right. So now, taste round two. Oh my gosh. Okay, so now that I'm in love, I can rest easy. So, friends, this is what it looks like. I am just going to pop on a lid, stick it in the fridge. I almost said freezer. Stick it in the fridge, and dinner's made. Now, this salad will last pretty well in the fridge for a couple of days. It's relatively complete, especially if you bulk out the veggies. I haven't put in too many veggies just because some of my family members are a little bit fussy lately, and so I'm going to have them choose a veggie to add. So if they want a pepper, if they want more tomato, whatever they choose, that's what they're going to add to theirs. Or we have cabbage. Cabbage is a good crunchy if not super expensive veggie. So if you aren't already on your cabbage game, I highly recommend. And that's it. That's the recipe for today. If you have any questions, I will take them now. But really, this is a choose your own adventure. Enjoy your healthy food and make it succulent because that makes it more sustainable.